Are you kidding me, dude? It was like not even scary at all. Hello, people on the other side of a screen. It's your favorite shop-dwelling Sarah here with another truck review. Today I have the 2022 Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 Bison, and this one has the 2.8 liter Duramax diesel in it. Yeah, so today we're gonna get this thing up on the lift, nerd out on how this thing is constructed and its tech specs, and then put this thing to the test off-road and see what it can do. This is a rugged piece of equipment. This truck is no joke. Now, because this is a diesel and it's equipped with a tow package, in theory, this thing should be able to tow 7,600 pounds, being that's 4x4. However, due to the fact this is a ZR2 Bison package, the suspension limits it to 5,000 pound towing capacity. Ah, that's what's up. Full-size spare. Are you forged? 17x8, 33 millimeter offset, made in China. Jeez, it's a big tip. You can shoot a pigeon out of that thing. Don't do that though, they're cute. Out back on the Bison, you have an Eaton E-locker in the rear diff on the solid rear axle with a set of semi-elliptical two-stage rear leaf springs and these badass dampers. At close glance, when the truck was first delivered, I thought these were Bilsteins due to the color of them being blue and gold, but they're actually a GM Performance Multimatic DSSV, which stands for Dynamic Suspension Spool Valve, because you guys can clearly read the side of the strut just like I did too. They are not playing around with this drive shaft. This thing's big around as a f***ing telephone pole. And the skid plate on the bottom of the U-joint, well, that's still warm. Go figure. Looks like they use a little bit of mild aluminized steel on some of the exhaust construction. The second generation Colorado has been around now since 2015 in North America and has a fully boxed frame and at least a couple hundred pounds worth of boron steel skid plates for the Bison package. In addition to this thing having the optional Duramax diesel, it weighs 5,012 pounds, which is a shitload for a mid-size pickup. But I mean, seriously, look at this. This skid plate goes from the back of the transmission pan all the way uninterrupted to their rear axle. On top of that, there's tons of tubular cross members all over the underside of this truck connecting the fully boxed frame together. This thing is, I guess I can't say beefy because it's a Bison. What is Bison meat called? Speaking of which, looks like there's a bunch of ground Bison meat all over the underside of it. Aw, poor Bison, they're so cute. Anyway, the purpose of this front skid plate is to protect the AutoTrack 2-speed transfer case. You can kind of see it up there. It's paired to a Hydromatic 6L50 6-speed automatic transmission. Ease of maintenance wise, it doesn't look too terrible to work on. This rear cross member is removable right here. I actually like how they did this for the alignment. Also, this thing is equipped with an Eaton E-locker up front as well. These front lower control arms are stout. Honestly, as is everything I've seen so far underneath this Colorado. And wow, even the end link is matte. I've never seen an end link this big on a vehicle of this size before. Look how fat that is. I'm gonna measure these front anti-sway bars, see how thick these things are. 32 millimeter, that's pretty big. Time for the braking test. No one behind me? Ready? Oh geez. Ooh! I made those tires angry. You got the job done. It's not bad braking. That braking was just accomplished with a set of 2-pot front calipers and a 12.2-inch front rotor, or 310 millimeters. The wheels, which I'm a huge fan of because they kind of remind me of a braid wheel, the Rally Wheel company. The center cap says AEV, and it has a little picture of a bison on it. And that's because it stands for American Expeditionary Vehicles. That is the company that General Motors teamed up with to make this Bison edition of the ZR2 Colorado. They're wrapped in a set of two 65 17-inch Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack tires, which it looks aggressive like a mud terrain, but yet it still performs on road like an all-terrain why? Like an all-terrain tire. I'm a fan of these tires. You fly. Out back, you got a single pot caliper and a slightly larger 12.75 inch rear rotor, or 324 millimeters, because of the fact that the parking brake is incorporated in the inner drum portion of this rear disc. And the wheel and the tire, they're square stanced with the front of the truck. But something else I need to point out on this thing, and why this package costs well over $5,000, is because it has rock sliders all along the entire truck, as well as these special steel bumpers that say AEV on them as well. I mean, these things are so mean looking. Over here down the side of the rocker panel, you have another frame slider right here. And then the overall truck itself is 3 inches wider than a standard Colorado. It's got these beefy plastic fender flares that I completely just missed with my hand. And then the front bumper, which looks like it would be plastic, but it's not. It's a steel front bumper. It's an off-road bumper. I mean, look at this massive bar that's built into the skid plates underneath it. I wonder if there's a way to remove this front plate bracket or modify it, put a winch back inside there if there's enough room. There's quite a bit of room back inside there. In the name of science, I'm now going to give this thing the beans. I don't have any modes to mess with. I do have traction control. I can turn that off. It's not going to do anything. Might leave some 11s. And we'll see what this thing can do. Ready? Go. Ooh, yep, it left 11s. Go, truck, go. It's got a nice little shove of torque right away. And then that's about it. That's good enough. Oh, that's not too bad. It feels slower than it actually is. These fake? Yep, they're fake. Hood struts! There's so much room inside this engine bay because it's only a little 2.8 liter 4-cylinder. I love mid-sized trucks with 4 bangers in them. It's just one of my favorites, especially a diesel. Under the hood of this Colorado, for an additional $3,700, you can have the LWN Duramax diesel, which this one has. It is a iron block aluminum head dual overhead cam turbocharged 2.8 liter 4-cylinder that produces 181 horsepower at 3,400 RPM and 369 pound-feet of torque at 2,000 RPM. Regardless of the fact that this thing is on the underpowered side for this thing weighing over 5,000 pounds, I still don't care because I'm so happy that GM at least offers a diesel in their mid-size truck when no one else does, except for the Gladiator Rubicon. But if I call that a truck, someone's gonna correct me and say, no, that's a Jeep. It's a truck, it has a bed, it's a truck. Anyway, digging in a little bit deeper on this Duramax diesel, it's actually manufactured in Brazil, and it has a Honeywell variable geometry single turbo, slightly undersquared at 94 by 100 millimeter bore and stroke. Because it's a diesel, obviously it has forged crank and forged connecting rods and a 16.5:1 compression ratio. I know this is gonna sound a little bit strange, but the first thing that came to mind when I drove this thing the night it was delivered was when I first drove a military spec AM General Hummer. Because of the fact that it had the 6.5 liter diesel in it and the thing weighed so much because of all the armor plating on it, I was like, geez, this is kind of gutless. And I felt that about this. It's got so much armor plating on it for the off-road package, the little Duramax diesel is kind of overwhelmed. And it's funny because the ISV, which stands for Infantry Squad Vehicle, is actually based on a diesel ZR2 Colorado. So GM's military division is making a military spec vehicle based on this thing behind me. The ISV, however, is powered by a 225 horsepower version of the same 2.8 liter Duramax diesel, and the transmission that's paired to it, the 6L50, is capable of withstanding 480 pound-feet of torque, which means there's your answer for the only downfall I found with this Duramax in the Colorado. Let's let that marinate in your own minds for a bit. All right, it's time for the off-road test. I gotta first start with a bolstering check. I don't want to. There's no bolstering in these seats at all. They're not comfortable either. I don't know how to put it nicely. They did put effort though with the cute little embroidery in the headrest. They're heated and they're leather, but they're hard. Which is weird because the rear seat cushions are actually really soft and somewhat comfortable. But I'm not reviewing a furniture store, I'm reviewing an off-road truck. So let's see what this thing can do on the hill climb test that gives most all-wheel drive vehicles and a few four-wheel drive trucks some trouble. I'm gonna put it in four-wheel drive auto. I'm not gonna lock the diffs. I don't think I need to lock the diffs. All right, let's do this little Colorado. Oh, did I give it some trouble? I have traction control turned on. Let me defeat that. Ooh, did I give it too much credit? Oh, it was just the traction control being overly invasive. No problem. Not a problem whatsoever. Absolute little beast. And right down here, I like how all the off-road switches are right in a central location. I have my hill descent switch. Okay. I believe that's activated. Yep. Wow. GM's hill descent controls quiet. Barely hear it. Toyota, Lexus, it's loud. You can hear the whales mating in the wheel wells. This is actually quite quiet. That was good. Okay. Nice. That wasn't much of a challenge though. There's another hill that I've only attempted one vehicle on and almost tipped it over backwards. There's a link up above to the Jeep 4xe review if you want to check out that. Okay, I just set up my camera for this. I have never made it up this hill in any vehicle, ever. I've only attempted it in one other vehicle. This literally scares the shit out of me. I'm going to lock both my front and rear diffs. Okay, both front and rear diffs are locked. 4 low. I have 8.9 inches of ground clearance and a 25.3 degree approach angle, which is less than the regular Colorado with this bumper. Okay, here goes. Truck. Like nothing, dude. Like nothing. Like nothing. Are you kidding me, dude? That was like not even scary at all. This thing is savage. Ah, this might be a challenge. I'm gonna do this little area that I do an articulation test on usually backwards. And let's see how it handles this area. Here goes. I really wish I had a trail cam. That's one thing this is lacking, is a trail cam. I just have to use Windows. Ooh, am I gonna get high centered? Nope. Did not get high centered. I'm running out of ideas out here. And I'm sure there's people like, I know what you could do, but you gotta remember, it's not my truck. I can't yeet this thing into a tree and see if it would survive. Man, this thing is just so stable and sure-footed off-road. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this Bison. I love the mechanical aspects of it. I think this thing is just a rugged as fuck piece of equipment that will take a pounding. Love that it has a diesel engine. Even if it's slightly underpowered, it doesn't bother me because off-road, it's a champ. The downfall of this truck, and it's a pretty big downfall, is the interior. I think it started with the fact that the seat is just uncomfortable, and then it got me looking in other places. And the center console, it looks like it's a boombox from Walmart. But the stereo in here is great. I love the stereo, and GM does a good job with their infotainment system, the controls, the overall look of the menu. I like that, but it doesn't have modern safety features in here that a lot of other vehicles for considerably less money have. It doesn't have radar cruise control, which is something that I actually really like and use quite a bit. The wireless charger in the center console would fit a flip phone maybe from 20 years ago. It doesn't fit a modern smartphone. And the console around the shifter just, I mean, it needs some flavor. And I think the Ford Maverick is a good example of how to do a cheap interior right and make it fun and work. This just, I don't know, this is an area that needs improvement. But again, this is an amazing off-road truck, and I feel that's why you would buy one of these, is just for its capabilities off-road and the fact that it has a diesel and barely any other competitors other than Jeep can offer that. I've averaged just over 24 miles per gallon of mixed driving, which makes this more fuel efficient than the numbers I saw rated for this truck with the diesel. And if you hypermiled it, I think you could even exceed what I was averaging. Aside from large heavy-duty trucks, I know diesels aren't very popular in America, and the whole thing that happened with Volkswagen made people hate them even more. But I personally like them, and especially in a truck like this. I actually like this little piece of equipment, and I'm looking forward to the next generation to see if they can improve on the areas that need to be worked on. If you've never seen one of my vehicle reviews before, I have multiple categories to rate and assess them. Starting with the bean score, it is a rating of 1 to 5 beans based on the feeling you get behind your belly button when you give it the beans. And this Colorado with the diesel is getting a rating of 0.7 bean. It's a fat slice of a bean though. It's like it's like you tipped the bean on its side and sliced it that way. It's a fat, capable, grunty bean slice. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's not quick. It's torquey, it's grunty, and it gets the job done. It's a piece of equipment. Next is the cookie score. It's an assessment on a 1 to 5 cookie scale based on what you get for what you spend. And this truck sitting in the mid $50,000 range is getting a rating of 2.9 cookies. And this was extremely difficult for me to rate because I feel this truck tore me in different directions, extreme highs and lows. Because the high points about it, especially what American Expeditionary Vehicles did to the Colorado, this is not cheap stuff that's on here. It would cost a lot of money if you were to build this out of any other brand of midsize pickup. So there's great value in the fact that it's got a diesel too in that department. So it was tough to rate. Reporting to you live from Mount Idiot, I am Mountain Sarah to give you the meatball score. It is a rating of 1 to 5 meatballs based on how well the hair can stick to the inside of my mouth while I'm trying to talk to a rock. And this Colorado Bison is getting a rating of 3.9 meatballs. It did good. It's cold. This is a rock. I'm out. Next is the mechanic score, is an assessment on a 1 to 5 wrench scale, 5 being easy, 1 being abysmal, on how difficult it'd be to maintain or work on one of these. And this truck right here is getting a rating of, I gave it 4.7 wrenches. That is one of the highest wrench scores I've ever given. Yes, I'm a diesel technician by trade. That may have weighed my score a little bit, but I personally feel diesel engines are just far more robust and simple to maintain and work on than gasoline versions of engines. And they typically last longer on top of that. Lastly though is the Penguin score, is assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on how much I personally like a vehicle, and this truck is getting a rating of 3.2 penguins. Overall, I feel this thing has the potential to be incredible. with just some changes that could be made in the next generation. And I really hope that GM does it and maintains the same diesel engine with just a little bit more power would be nice. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another. Bye.